Boo bitches! Welcome to episode 93 of C3 Crystals, Cauldrons, and Cocktails. I'm River.
And I'm Wren.
And today we're going to talk about sigils. This is actually a request from one of our patrons. So he wanted sigils and runes, but this was too long of a topic. So we'll do runes in a different one.
Yes,
Hopefully we won't go over an hour. We're trying to keep these to an hour. First, our cocktail. So as we've said, we're trying to work on our little cocktail book.
Mm-hmm.
So one that I thought was almost done, and so I was like, let's try this one, is the pagan pickle. Mm-hmm. And it really is just a matter of taste. So just like dirty martinis, some like them extra dirty, like me, and some of them like them with more vermouth and vodka. So really, this one is about ready to go in the book. I think we would just say you start with vodka and a shot of the pickle juice, and you can add more or less as per your taste, and you'll just have to decide. It's not one of Wren's favorites because it's very strong. I mean, just like any martini.
Mine is more like a little bit of vodka, more pickle juice, and like 5 pickles at the bottom.
We loves our pickles.
I love pickles so much. I have a pickle shirt.
And you actually made pickles last year. Are you trying to grow?
I did make pickles.
What is it called? Cucumbers? Are you growing cucumbers on your little patio this year?
No, I have murdered all of my plants.
Greg, cover your ears.
Yeah, no, we were just out of town for a long period of time.
Yeah,
and we don't
does it.
Yeah, we don't have people here that can help water our plants. And so, I don't know if I said this, but I had a sugar snap pea plant.
I think you told me. I don't know if you said it on the podcast or not.
I murdered the poor thing because I let the sugar snap grow up my balcony, not a gate, but like balcony railing.
Trellis railing. Mm-hmm.
And I was sweeping outside one day and I had set the broom on lean the pole onto the railing, and I accidentally knocked it over, and it chopped into my snow sugar snap pea. Where did I get snow? Sugar snap pea plant, and it's severed all of them, which was very sad because they had little tiny peas.
I was gonna say, you told me that they were growing little babies.
Excited. Yeah. And now you're like, wow, Wren, why not just let them regrow after the severing? No. It literally pulled them out of the dirt and mutilated my plant.
Oh.
Mutilated. So there was no coming back from that. And then we had a pepper plant. Mm-hmm. It's holding on, but it's not producing anything because it's severely neglected. But yeah, so no, I have nothing. All I have is a willowing plant of flower.
Okay.
That I tried to bring back, but
I posted on Facebook a picture of the squash and bean. Well, I don't know if I posted the beans, but the big old batch of squash that we picked. And my garden is coming in. It's wonderful. I'm very excited.
I know, it's wonderful. Y'all gave me some squash the other day. I haven't cooked them yet, but I know exactly what I'm going to do with them.
Yeah, I can smell my husband's cooking right now. We just got done with our work day, so it's late. We're both tired. Well, my work day. You don't have a job yet. How is your job search?
Fine. I don't want to talk about it.
You don't want to talk about it?
I mean, I went to the pool today. If that tells you anything, I've been fine. Nice. But I'm just, it's a relaxing day, quote unquote. But I'm internally panicking because I have no money for bills or anything, and so I'm just.
I still feel like you should try to enjoy this time that you have. I mean, going to the pool, that's amazing.
Yes, it's yeah.
I had a really, really crappy day at work, so I am very tired. Yeah. I am very glad to be drinking pagan pickles, and they are very, very strong because they are like martinis. They are just vodka and pickle juice and vermouth if you want vermouth, which I actually like vermouth because in a martini like this, it cuts that vodka, that strength of the vodka to me. It makes it smoother. And I use the Belvedere vodka when I do a martini like this. When I'm mixing drinks, I don't use the high dollar stuff, but Belvedere to me is the best vodka for making a martini.
Oh, yeah, I'm not very picky. I don't drink that much, so I'm just not.
Yeah.
I don't have a
That's why
taste
this
for
one
the good
is,
stuff or bad stuff. It just is.
y'all, we're having such a hard time trying these drinks to get I mean, she's such a lightweight now because she doesn't drink much. That's not her thing.
My go-to right now is and I know it sounds very Southern. It's a 0 calories, 0 sugar sweet tea.
Yeah.
So it's like sweetened with an artificial, but it is the best. And like, it's like in the gallon, like it comes in like a gallon jug, and I hate the sweet tea version of it because the sweet tea tastes so fake. And I hate that. I like it when you make it fresh. And this one, my husband, like, I swear by it. And I was like, sure, I'll try it. I'm probably not going to like it, but sure. It tastes just like sweet tea. It's so good. Like, you can't even tell it's an artificial, no aftertaste. You can't tell it's an artificial. And I had my friend try it and she said, no aftertaste. There's no aftertaste. And we sat there going, like, what is that taste? Like, what artificial, because we've had our fair share of artificial sweetener, stevia, monk fruit, blah, blah, blah.
Yep.
And we just don't know, but it's delicious and it's 0 calories and it makes me happy. So that's what I'm drinking.
Nice. Very nice.
After. Yeah.
Yeah. That's your go-to this summer.
My go-to.
Which, that's amazing. My go-to is alcohol, unfortunately, for everybody around me.
Yeah. I do the one pagan pickle, some sweet tea, another pagan pickle, more sweet tea.
Okay. Well, let's get down to it. Sigils. And we've talked a little bit about them before. Everybody kind of like, oh yeah, I know what a sigil is. And I really didn't know what a sigil was when I got down into researching it. It is not what I thought it was. And there's disagreements out there. Well, I'll get into that. So, we might think of witchcraft as using spells and words, which most of the time it does. You use words to cast spells, but magic isn't about the words. It's the intent behind the words. And so sigils help represent our intent without the actual need for language. So like an inscribed or painted symbol considered to have magical power is also considered a sigil, or any type of symbol that you use in magic could be a sigil. A sigil is our will and intent condensed down into this one intricate symbol. So it's something that normally you make yourself to project and focus your intentions and desires on. A sigil, here's another definition. A sigil is a symbolic representation of an energy, word, or intention that, when activated, helps manifest the energy, word, or intention that it represents. So working with sigils is an ancient magic that sends a powerful message to your subconscious, the spirits, and the universe to manifest what it is you desire.
I like the idea of sigils. Like, I like the idea of using them. I haven't
What was your thought of sigils when we came up with this topic?
It's a symbol that harnesses power, and you use it and create it yourself to like harness whatever it is that like your intent is.
Now,
and I think of mine as glowing. My sigils glow in my head.
See, and that's visualization is a huge part of it. But some say that you can't create a sigil for anybody else because it's your own power and intention for yourself that goes into it. It's your self that goes into it.
Yeah, I would say yes, but also like no.
Yeah,
to that one.
I agree and disagree. And that is the controversy. So the Traveling Witch, which I use her website a lot for my research, she says to really use sigil magic, you must make your own sigil. There's no way around it. Using someone else's sigil isn't sigil magic. It's just some intention setting with a pretty symbol. She says that you use a symbol. When you use a symbol created by someone else, you're essentially just using a random symbol to focus your conscious mind's intention. This can still work and be effective, but it's not tapping into your subconscious in the way a sigil is supposed to. Basically,
I have opposing.
I do too. I kind of wishy-washy through my notes because I would read something and I'd be like, oh yeah, and then I'd read something else. I'm like, oh yeah. So I kind of go through this. So you all will go through this journey with me about what we think about sigils. But basically anything else that you do, if it's used by someone else, is more a talisman or charm as opposed to a sigil, which you can put intent and magic into a charm and a talisman. That's not the same thing as a sigil, according to the Traveling Witch. Her definition of sigil is not that. Okay. And I think that might come down to it is, what is your definition of sigil?
Yeah. And just because your definition is different than somebody else's doesn't mean it's not valid.
Right.
Or yeah. I said that right.
I did see on Reddit where someone said that you can make the sigil for someone else, but you have to have the person that you're giving it to be the one that charges it. And that kind of makes sense to me.
Okay. I mean, I think, I'm like really crappy at drawing sigils because yes, I am, because like some of them, like you look online, obviously you're like, let me see like what they're supposed, like, general, like what they're supposed to look like. And they look so pretty and they look so, yep, that looks exactly like what I would want to use. And then I go and do it and I'm like, what in the mumble jumble did I just make? It is so like, they're not it. Which turns me away from using those sigils, because I like aesthetically pleasing things. I'm an aesthetic girly. And so
you are artistic. So I think you can do it. And I'll get into ways to do it. I'll talk about how to make
the ones that I have made look like poo-poo. They are crappy.
Wow, sigils, Wren.
Oh my
Lord.
Crappy sigils, literally.
Oh my God. So I mean, I feel like there might be sigils out there that can be used by anybody for a particular purpose. I don't think it has to be done by yourself just for you. I don't know. I'm not well versed in this, so I know there's going to be a lot of different opinions out there. There are personal symbols that you can create for yourself to make change happen, and I think that that's a great thing. It is, that also is a definition of a sigil, but I don't think it has to be. The key to sigils is that it activates in your subconscious. It gets beyond your doubts, because a lot of us, when we cast spells of any kind, whether it's sigils or any kind of spell, we do doubt, is this really going to work? Is my magic going to be strong enough? Is it going to be able to overcome whatever it is I'm trying to overcome? And those doubts sabotage your spells. That is a huge part of why spells fail. But by creating, charging, and releasing a sigil to represent your desire, you cause these tiny ripples in reality. And these ripples work on your behalf to bring about the particles, the atoms, the people, the events, all of these things into alignment, just like any spell, honestly, in order to achieve your intent. I mean, I think that's what magical energy does. That's, you send it out. It's almost tangible, the energies that we feel. And that's what they're talking about, these little ripples. And these symbols, these little magical sigils, are each coded with a unique purpose, allowing them to be incredibly direct and powerful while also being very fast. That is another thing that's really good about sigils, is they are a very fast form of spell work for a witch that really knows how to use them. So several sites I visited said that sigils are based off of chaos magic, but that's actually a more modern definition.
Oh man, chaos magic.
Wow. I know. So we did an episode on chaos magic. I think it was
After Dark.
It might have been.
I think so.
But like, it's kind of bizarre. It's a very strange concept, and a lot of sites are like, "Oh, sigils, chaos magic is what sigils are all about." And I'm like, but there's been sigils for years. So, and chaos magic is new. Well, new, so to speak. It's but by its very nature, the sigils aren't the same every time necessarily. So
I mean, you could say chaos magic wise that it's not chaos magic because the use of sigils isn't something different. It's just a different type of sigil that you use.
And a different intent, just like any spell.
You can argue it anyway.
Chaos. Yeah.
You can argue it anyway. Sure, it's chaos because it's a different sigil every time, but you're still being consistent in sigil work.
Well, one thing that's really good about sigils is that no matter what your path is, whether you're a storm witch or a kitchen witch or whatever, you can use sigils in any path that you have chosen in your spirituality. Sigils are there for everybody.
Ooh, imagine a pie, like a kitchen witch, like a pie with like a pretty sigil on the top that
Absolutely.
glows.
Or
I want to
even
emphasize the glowing.
if you want to serve, something to bless your family, and not all of them are witches, you can actually hide it within the crust, on the downside of the crust that's facing the meaty part of the pie, whether it's a fruit or a meat or whatever. But the word sigil, let's talk about the history a little bit. The word sigil comes from the Latin signum, which means sign.
Okay.
And it's also the root of sigillum, which means seal, like Solomon's seal, the key of Solomon.
Oh, okay.
Yes. In medieval times, a sigil was the symbol of a specific entity, like an angel or a demon, that allowed a witch or wizard to summon and control that entity. That's the strong history of summoning demons and angels. There's a lot of history about sigils with that. And with that, they are set sigils that are said to be used over and over again to summon that particular demon or angel. Medieval witches also use sigils to communicate with spirits, angels, or demons. So the Lesser Key of Solomon, which is what I was saying just a minute ago, it contains sigils for the princes in the hierarchy of hell. And these sigils are believed to be a representation of the true name of those demons, and thus granted the magical practitioner or the witch, whoever, to have control over that being. They say the true name is very, very powerful.
Yeah.
And these sigils were believed to be the true name of a demon, which is what allows you to summon that demon and control them to do your will. I just feel like that's super dangerous.
Yeah, for real. Like that part sounds like something that you wouldn't want to interact with or touch, or at least me, in my practice.
I mean,
that's
just
not
us.
I
think there are people that want to summon demons and do summon demons.
That's completely fine. But in my practice myself, in that way, I wouldn't want to use a sigil.
Yeah.
Based on that.
The ancient Egyptians used sigils for protection, invoking deities, and magic. So not so much the demon summoning or the angel summoning.
See, that's more my side.
Yeah. They didn't have the concept of angels like we have like Christianity does.
Yeah.
And then chaos magic developed the concept of personal sigils for intentions, as opposed to just summoning a set demon. We're going to summon this set demon. But one theory suggests that sigils may have been tied to ancient Hebrew sources, because they're often accompanied by magical squares, which Jessica, one of our patrons, is a math person. And so she loves the numbers, and the sigils are often tied to numbers. And so these magical squares were used extensively in Jewish tradition in their ceremonial magic. And so a lot of people think that sigils came from Hebrew sources, which also the words of power, which can be used to make sigils, are very strong. Wow, my throat. Sorry.
It's the pagan pickle.
It's the pagan pickle. Can be very strong. I think when you make a golem, it's a word of power that you edge into the golem's forehead. That's a whole different episode.
But I was gonna be like, ooh, we could do an episode on that.
Yeah, fun. Which, I mean, sigils could be considered possibly a word of power in and of themselves. That's I don't know. I haven't researched that to know.
Yeah.
But you know how some people think that sigils may only be made by be used by the person that made them. Well, in the past, that wasn't the case. There were sigils that were incorporated into grimoires that had traditional use, requiring the wielder to copy them exactly as depicted, even though they had been invented by somebody else at some point in history. So
I feel like I did this in a past life.
You think so?
I feel
that's kind of cool.
I feel drawn to sigils, but I haven't had any experience in this life with sigils, so I haven't touched any.
Me either. After doing this research, I'm very, very excited about starting to use sigils. Yeah.
Yeah.
So these sigils that they had in the past were carefully crafted using very specific techniques that were not derived from imagination or revelation, which is how we do them today. That's a common way to do them today. But you remember that show Supernatural with the Winchester brothers?
Of course I do.
Of course, everybody knows the Winchester brothers. That's how it worked as well. They used predetermined, what's the word? These sigils they researched, and they found the sigils that corresponded to a particular angel. And then they would use that sigil to call an angel, to summon an angel or a
kind of like
demon.
their name. Like it's the demon's name.
Yes. And the way they powered them was like, I remember Sam cutting his hand and letting the blood empower the sigil to call the demon or the angel or whatever it was they were doing. And so that wasn't something that the Winchester brothers created themselves. They
followed.
They actually used pre-made sigils that represented that particular angel.
Yeah.
Or demon.
Yeah.
So I do think that sigils made by someone else might be able to be used by another person. I think I
think so. Like, I think
depends.
You can. Yeah. I think it's the power that it holds for you.
Yeah.
You know, like, I mean, sure, of course it's going to be maybe stronger or whatever, more meaningful if you make it yourself, but that doesn't mean that someone who's already made one and you like it, that doesn't mean it's not going to work for you, and that doesn't mean that it doesn't hold that same power. It's just that had more, like, it influenced you more than you making one yourself. Wow, I really this
is going to be, hopefully this will be a short episode because we're already struggling.
Yeah, you're just listening like, Wren, what are you talking about?
I was reading in Reddit about people who were disputing, they were arguing about whether you have to make it yourself or whether it can be made for someone else. And this one guy was like, I've got a friend who needs help and I really want to make him a sigil. And there was this whole debate going on about, oh no, that won't work. And oh yes, you can do that. You just have to have them charge it. And very, very interesting. I had no idea there was that kind of debate going on out there.
I just say, wow, my brain's not working. I just say, word for Wren, okay? Do what you want.
That is Wren's little. We should put that on one of our t-shirts. Do what you want.
Do what you want. Yeah, no,
absolutely,
for real. Like, if it makes you happy, and if it, not murder, but if it makes you happy. In practice, and if there's a sigil online or you see a symbol on the street or whatever, and it really calls to you, what is to say you can't use it? I
agree.
It's your own power that you are harnessing, and if that makes you feel better, and you in your practice, and you want to use it, do what you want.
I feel like I make spell jars and things for friends, and I see on Etsy sigil jewelry that is supposed to represent, protection or whatever. I don't see why someone made that, put the intent of protection into it. What's to say that I can't buy that and wear it as protection, as long as my intent and belief are there. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, it's completely fine if somebody's like, no, you need to make your own. Okay, you go make your own. Like, that's completely fine. But if I want to use like a symbol that I saw, or a sigil, or an ancient sigil, like from like past books that we were talking about, like, and use that type of knowledge and everything, then I'm going to do that, because that falls in line with my practice.
Okay, that sounds good.
I think just falls in line with whatever you want. Do what you want.
Do what you want.
Well, that's my motto.
A Wren statement. There are types of sigils. So there are destructible sigils, and these sigils are actually activated by being destroyed. And I was like, oh, wow, that's cool. So it's the act of destroying it that is what creates the burst of energy that gives the sigil its power.
Ooh, it makes it glow.
Yeah, it could. This is what usually it's done by writing your sigil on a piece of paper and then setting it on fire. That's the most common way to do it. But you could carve it into food and consume it. That would be a great way to activate it.
I like that.
Yeah.
I love food.
Me too. Matter of fact, we were eating dinner last night, and my husband got up, and we were watching TV while we were eating. He got up and walked in the kitchen. And I turned to him and I said, I love food. And he just burst out laughing. He's like, well, that's a good thing because you need food to live.
Is good. Food is
But it was so good. It was a good dinner. We had ham, so that was yummy.
That sounds good.
Anyway, so those are the destructible sigils. There are temporary sigils, and these are sigils that eventually disappear with time. So like you could draw on your skin with a marker. It's going to come off eventually as you wash it.
Yeah.
You can carve it into a candle, and then the wax, it will be melted and destroyed by the wax of the candle, which, speaking of wax, did you know that the lava found in lava lamps is actually colored wax? I had no idea.
Know that. But
I didn't either.
Does anybody really know what's in a lava lamp?
I don't know. It says that the wax is heated by this incandescent bulb, and then it floats up to the top looking like lava. And then on its journey to the top, it begins to cool. And as it gets cooler, it drops back down to be heated again. And that's what makes the lava lamp do its thing.
Interesting. Yeah, I guess, cool? I remember I had my sister, actually. She had a lava lamp. It was like purple and pink.
I could see you having one. It's a very hippie thing in my mind.
Never had one. My parents wouldn't let me have one. And so I had my oldest sister. She had like a purple lava lamp and everything. And I remember like it lasted a long time. And I remember it finally broke. Like it didn't shatter or anything. It just like the part where it holds the, I guess, wax, it popped off the base with the light bulb and you just couldn't connect it. And then it didn't work after that. So, but it lasted.
I would have expected you to have one. You've got that hippie vibe, and a lava lamp has got that hippie vibe going.
I may have one in my future gaming room.
Oh, that would be cool.
Yeah.
So then there are permanent sigils. And these, of course, are meant to last and be active for a very long period of time. Occasionally, permanent sigils are recharged to keep the energy active. Mm-hmm. They could be made into pottery as a piece of art, or you could write a sigil on a piece of paper and place it behind a painting or under a piece of furniture. You could carve it into a piece of furniture underneath where people can't see it, but it'll then last pretty much forever. And did you know, speaking of pottery survives for a long, long time.
Oh, yeah.
The world's oldest writing was found on a piece of pottery in northern Bulgaria in a fort that used to be some kind of Roman road station. And it dates back 7,000 years. And so I would say pottery might be a pretty good permanent material to use.
Yeah. Maybe 7,000 years worth of powerful sigils.
Although, honestly, I think pottery could be a what's the first one I call destructible one, if you make it on the pottery and then crush it and break it to create, so I think it could be more than permanent. Yeah. I think a lot of different things can be used different ways.
Like multi-use, yeah.
Yeah. What about a tattoo? I remember in the Supernatural, the Winchester brothers had those sigils tattooed on their chests, and it kept them hidden. Yeah, it was a protection, and it kept them hidden from the sources of evil looking for them.
Oh,
did you know?
That one's permanent though.
Yeah, that's true. Speaking of how permanent a tattoo can be, did you know the oldest tattooed human skin to date is found on the body of Otzi the Iceman, who was estimated to have lived between 3370 and 3100 BC. His body was found in the Alps and had 61 tattoos of simple dots and lines using carbon ink, and they're still here since then.
Interesting. I wonder if his parents saw him as a delinquent.
It was probably, a lot of cultures find tattoos to be a sign of growing up. As you you get a dot when you kill your first animal, and you get another dot when you reach a certain age, and so it's a sign of maturity.
There's a lot of cultural meanings behind some tattoos. Yeah, but I mean, you just hear oh, that person's a delinquent and he should be in jail because he has tattoos, and the tattoo's a butterfly, and you're
my dad before he died get over my tattoos. I've got, how many do I have right now? I've got two. I have two, I think, right now. They're both dragons. And my dad just could never quite get over that. Couldn't get over it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting.
So, but
Yeah.
I'm going to get more because I love tattoos. And now I
Oh,
know
yeah.
that, 7,000 years from now, that whoever finds my skin.
Yeah. And they're
Yeah.
gonna be like, wow, dragons had a significant meaning in this period of
Yes.
time.
Oh, they must have worshipped dragons.
Yeah, they must have worshipped dragon. You're like, yeah.
Yeah, that's it. Okay, so how do you create a sigil? If you want to create your own, there are some techniques. So the most common is using letters and writing. So the first thing you got to do is sit down. I mean, all of this should be done. Magic isn't something to toy with. So you should always be mentally prepared to cast a
Yep.
spell. You should always be mentally calm and ready in an environment that is conducive to doing magic. So since sigils are meant to be a visual representation of your desires, the first step is identifying what it is that you want. Do you want wealth, prosperity, luck, protection, love? What is it? And don't just say, oh, everybody wants money. Think about it.
I want money.
I want money too. But not being trite. Think about seriously, because you're putting something into place that is going to affect reality around you. So that is not to be done lightly. So think long and hard about what it is exactly you're trying to do. And then you write a phrase of that intent. Or you can use one word. It could be just money or wealth or luck. But it could also be, I am confident. So you want confidence. I am confident. And you always use the present tense. You don't want to say it's going to be in the future, because then you might never attain it. Why are you laughing? I am rich.
I am beautiful.
Absolutely. So you write that down and you scratch out all of the vowels, and then you take the letters that are left and you scratch out any that are duplicated. And you combine the remaining letters to make a design, and let your intention.
That's where all of my sigils just go poo poo.
They go. Is that the way you normally tried to do it? Was with the words and taking out the vowels and that is the most well known way to do it right now in our world today. But you let your intention guide you as you develop the symbol. This is your custom work, and if one letter isn't working, you don't have to have every letter that, of the I am beautiful statement, whatever's left. You don't have to use every one of them. It's your intent that's important. The intention, just like we've always droned on and on about, intent is everything. That's what's important. And your symbols can be written upside down. You can do the letters sideways. You can use partial letters. You can put letters on top of each other. You can try uppercase letters, lowercase letters. Add embellishments like swirls and dots, combine letters that look similar, and unleash your inner artist is basically what I'm trying to say. That is the most common way, and probably anybody listening to this is like, yep, that's what I know about sigils.
Yeah.
There are now online generators. You know me, I love the online generator stuff. This kind of seems to defeat the purpose of putting your own intention into the sigil itself. But it depends on your definition of sigil. And if you really want something pretty and you can only draw stick figures, then maybe this is the way to do it. And this one generator I found, and I'll post it in with all of our information, had some really cool sigils. And you type in your, I am beautiful, and it'll draw a sigil that means that, and you can take that. I mean, AI is everywhere nowadays, and in some ways that's really not a bad thing. And in some ways it's going to be a bad thing. I can see a future where AI causes problems, but for now, we're on the cusp of it, and it can do some really cool things, and creating sigils is one of them. If you don't like the idea of computer generated sigils, then don't use them. You don't have to. It's a personal choice.
Yeah.
Okay, so there are chart sigils, and Jessica will like this one. Numerical. There are numerical charts, and I'll have to do a blog, because just like when we did our numerology, it's hard to verbally explain what these charts look like. But you make a chart, and it can, a lot of what I saw, we did the chart that, and I think it is on our blog. I don't know if I put it on our blog or not. But when we did the numerology, there is a chart that you can change letters into numbers. You've got the letters up top and then the numbers below it. And so if you say, I am beautiful, you go and you find IAMBEAUTI. Okay. And you get all those numbers. And then you have a number grid, which is 3 rows of numbers. 492 is the top row. 357 is the next row. And 816 is the next row. And you draw the lines. So you've got your numbers that I am beautiful came out to. And the first letter you circle. And then you draw lines to all the numbers. And the last one ends with a bar. And that's your sigil.
Interesting. That's kind of cool. I'm trying to picture it in my head.
I know it's very hard to describe it. That was the problem I had with our numerology episode. It was hard to verbally explain what it looked like. There's also letter charts. So you create a letter wheel, or you find one online. There's cajillions of them. And the letters are written in 3 rings, like a target. So you got the outer ring and it's got A, B, C, D, E, F, on the outside. And then the next side goes on until you're in the middle. And then you trace your phrase from the letters on there to create your sigil.
I like that one.
I think
that would be cool looking.
And then just art. There are a lot of artists out there. If you're a doodler or an artist, you can freeform a sigil. Picture in your mind's eye what your goal is, and then draw as you think of that goal, kind of like automatic writing, where the words just kind of flow through you. The symbols, the drawing can kind of flow through you, and you just let your mind go. Or you can make it more organized. It's your intent that's behind it. Let your subconscious lead the way. And then charging and activating sigils. There are... So for the destructible ones, destroying that sigil is what gives it its power. So think about the ways you can destroy things like fire, tearing a piece of paper, breaking a piece of pottery, water could dissolve something, or even visualization, like you were talking about.
You could take like a piece of chalk or something and draw your sigil in the chalk itself, and then it dissolves in water. Or you can use the chalk itself to draw your sigil, and then you can wipe it away with whatever. Yeah, I like that idea.
Dry erase markers.
Yeah, dry erase markers. What else? I don't know. Go ahead.
So after picking this, you've been playing with all of your designs, and you've come up with a sigil design that you like best. Transfer it off of your little scrap pieces of paper that you've been using onto your final piece of paper, or whatever material. It doesn't have to be paper, and formally activate it. Since destroying the sigil is part of the activation process, it is a good idea to make sure that you save a copy of what you've used for the future, because otherwise you're going to destroy it and you'll never have it again. So somewhere later, I think I talk about having a sigil notebook that you might want to keep.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
So, I think it was the next thing I was going to say. If you plan to create other sigils in the future, dedicate a notebook to saving all of your designs, especially the destructible ones, because you won't have them again once you destroy them.
Yeah.
So use the form of destruction that works with your sigil, like fire for paper. You can also use visualization, like draw the sigil with your energy in the air. You can use a wand, an athame, your hand, and then push that sigil into a black hole with your mind and destroy it that way. You can visualize it being destroyed, sucked in and crumbling, just like, a black hole might do.
Yeah. Oh, it would be cool if you let's say you're making a cake, right? And you have icing, and you have like a white base icing, and you need to color it. You could draw the sigil in that color and then mix it in so it's all infused with that. And then when you eat it, that's when you you
That's the
destroy it,
kitchen
but you
witch in
didn't
you.
activate it.
See, that came
I
naturally to
love
you.
cooking. Yeah.
Yep, that is definitely the kitchen witch in you that came out up with that. So visualization, you can using focused visualization to activate a sigil.
Mm-hmm.
You'll hold the sigil in your hands and stare at it for a few minutes, reflecting on its meaning, its significance. You imagine light flowing from your hands, like you said, making it glow. Keep looking at it until your vision blurs and the sigil starts to look kind of warped on the page. That means you've activated it.
Mm.
You can chant, repeating a specific chant or affirmation while focusing on it also activates it. So then how do you use these sigils once you've charged them and all of that? So what do? You can put the sigil on a piece of paper in a corner of the house that is always visible. I do this with vision boards too, because the more often you see it, the more your energy is going into it and your mind is making it come to pass.
Mm-hmm.
So you can put that sigil somewhere in the house where you see it. You can draw the sigil on your body. You can get a sigil tattoo on your body, like the Winchester brothers.
Mm-hmm.
Carve the sigil into a candle and light the candle.
Mm-hmm.
This one's interesting. Carve sigils in soap and then wash your body with the soap.
Oh,
Isn't
I
that
like that.
interesting? I do too.
I like that. Then that one,
Or,
that one's like a temporary one too, because it washes away.
Or use like the soap. A lot of people use liquid soap, and you can draw the sigil with the liquid soap and then wash your body with that.
Yeah.
Place the sigil on your computer or use it as the background on your phone.
Mm-hmm.
That way you see it constantly.
Oh, yeah.
It's constantly there. The traveling witch, she has some really fun ways to boost your sigil power and unusual things that I had never thought about. So use a gold marker and draw your sigils on black paper. I mean, how cool would that be?
That would be cool. And then that's kind of has like that glowing effect that I've been
that you were talking about. Yeah. If you're crafty, you can do all kinds of things with this. There's all kinds of colored paper. There's all kinds of gel pens out there that you can do. There's calligraphy stuff that you can do with that kind of calligraphy flair to it. Draw your sigil on a rock or crystal. We love our crystals. This one was funny because I don't really use CDs anymore, but she said, draw on a blank CD and then load the CD with music that reinforces the intent that you have on that sigil. And then when you play the CD, it'll activate it.
Oh, that's cool. But whoa. Any of our younger generations aren't even going to know what a CD is.
Yeah, that's when she said that, I'm like, how old is this girl? Because I'm sorry, but Spotify, it's, I don't do CDs anymore.
I mean, but that's really cool.
Yeah, it is a great idea.
But like,
it is a great idea.
I mean, I don't think people understand how to put songs onto CDs, like how to burn the disc and everything.
Yeah, when I went to the Renaissance Festival, there was a band there. You were with me. There was a band. He played the bells. It was a really cool sound.
And they were walking around.
Yeah, and I bought his thing, but it came on a disc drive, on a USB.
They were selling CDs.
Oh, well, I didn't see the CDs, but I got it on a USB.
Yeah. They were selling CDs, and then your husband was like, well, we don't have a CD player. And you were like, you're right. And so you bought the, bought the flash drive.
You remember more than I do. I was really drunk that day. That was fun.
I remember going, River, do you really want to buy this? And you're like, yeah. And I was like, okay.
Hey, I wanted to buy everything that day. I wanted everything there. She said she was always taught that sigils should be drawn within a circle. She said, however, certain sigils require a bit more pizzazz. And this is kind of brilliant. For sigils directed at an enemy, she draws them within an athame or a dagger.
Oh.
And within that shape. Travel sigils can be drawn in the shape of a wing. Power sigils can be drawn within a star. The possibilities are endless. I mean, just think about, what you can, what shape symbolizes what you're trying to do, and do your sigil
in the shape of a heart,
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
And then she said instead of placing her crystals and stones around her workspace like I do, she wraps, this is really cool too. She wraps the sigil around the stone in an envelope and then sets it on fire. And the stone comes out just as it was before, but the sigil is charged because of the fire. And it's very cool. And if the crystal that you're using has the intent of what you're trying to do, I just thought that was brilliant too.
Yeah.
And then she
but
said,
you have to be careful with what stones you burn.
That's true. Definitely research your crystals before you burn. Just like putting them in water, you got to research those too.
Yes.
She said use ice. Freeze some water in a small tin and then etch your sigil onto the flattest surface of the block of ice. Put it out in the sun to melt. And that gives you activation by transmutation. And she said that is a really good way to use sigils for healing and calming. Interesting. And then she said you can add herbs to the sigil's fire while it's activating, or sprinkle the herbs around the sigil while it burns, or add the sigil's ashes to the herb mix and save for later to use in other types of spells. So I thought that was really exciting. I'm going to make a sigil notebook and start using sigils.
Yeah, sigils have always interested me, but I haven't I've done a couple spells, but not like anything to dive deeper into it, like anything that's more like focused on that. So I really liked this episode. And
I mean, I've been using them pretty much just by gut, like in the shower. That's really the only place I've ever used sigils is in the shower. You get the steamed up glass door on the shower, and I will draw sigils in there for, I need focus today. And so I've done it in the steam on the glass, but I never knew all the depth that went into it. It was just something I was doing by instinct, I guess. It was just a gut.
Yeah.
So that's all I've got. Do you have anything else?
No.
You want to do the outro? Or do you want me to do it?
I can do it. I just might mess it up a little.
That's okay.
So thank you for listening. If you want to hear more or find out more about us. See, I'm already messing up. Find out more about us.
Baby.
You can find us at www.c3witchypodcast.com. There is on our website are links to our social medias, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, and now YouTube. Go check out our YouTube and subscribe. Even if you listen on, Spotify or Apple Podcasts or iHeartRadio, even you can go subscribe to us on YouTube.
Yeah, everything helps.
It would be a big help. Yes. And also on our website, you can find links to our merch. You can find our newsletter. You can find updates on us and on the episodes that we have come out every week. You can also find information.
Episodes are on there too.
And our actual episodes through Buzzsprout. And then you can also find information about our subscriptions. So we have Patreon and Buzzsprout. And on there, you'll find all the information. I think that's it. I don't know.
I mean, thank you to all of our subscribers and patrons. You guys rock.
Yes,
we could not do this without you. So please, if you all like us and think we're funny and whatever, please come and support us. We would really appreciate it. It takes a lot to run this, and sometimes it takes more than we have, as you can tell tonight.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we will be back.
We'll be back.
And until then, stay witchy.
Woo.